G'day, guys. Welcome back to Stat Chat Sports. Here's a site you probably thought you'd never see before. We're here for the AFL podcast, and I'm running the show today. Just myself, BT, and Tazza, and a hand on the heart moment for the fallen Conrad Josh, who's having some serious internet issues and cannot be with us today. So we'll hold the fort down. We'll do it without him today. He's here in spirit for us, but he's not on the call to run the show. So it's up to me today. So go easy on me, fellas, if any mistakes appear. So we're gonna jump straight into it. We're gonna do a little bit differently. We're just gonna look forward to the prelim finals today. We'll start off with our first prelim final, which is on Friday night. Geelong, Brisbane at the G. Prelim final number 1, fellas. This looks, every prelim is touted to be a classic, but I think we're in for a good one here.
Yeah, it should be an absolute cracker. The way Brisbane played against Melbourne, we can't go off their poor MCG record anymore. They cracked that. I think it was 14 losses or so, something like that in a row at the G. So Geelong, clearly heavy favourites they are in this game, as they should be. They finished the end of the season very well. So be interesting to see how Brisbane play against a top quality Geelong team.
Yeah, you said their MCG record there, that even though they've broken the curse, it's still a factor. Like one win at the G since I think it was 2014, if I'm not mistaken. If they're to win the flag, they've now got to win. They've got to win at the G another 2 times. That's for a side that's won it once since 2014. That's a pretty tough task.
Yeah, it's all well and good breaking a hoodoo, but you need consistent form at the G, and it's the home of footy. You got to do it, like you said. It's the place where you need to play your best footy, and Brisbane just don't. So you're only as good as your last game. A lot of people will say, they've just broken the hoodoo at a great time, but whether they can translate that form into against a formidable Geelong team who are just purring at the moment, look, it's a tough ask. Definitely a tough ask.
Let's stay with Brisbane for now. I want to talk about a guy by the name of Jared Berry, who absolutely turned the tides of that game against Melbourne. But he picked up a little bit of media for the wrong reasons as well. He's been given a week suspension for the eye gouge on Clayton Oliver. Now, obviously, Brisbane are going to fight it. Will they win? Can they win it? Should they win it? Should he play?
Obviously, I would like him to win it. Yeah, you don't want to see these good players miss out on a prelim final. Going off what he did in the last game, the second half, he had 22 disposals when he went onto Oliver, and he kept Oliver to 9. And that's what won them the game. He was the one who got them over the line in the end. Hopefully he gets off. I don't know which way they're going to go about it.
I think they will. I think they'll let him off. Every time I look at it, when I first looked at it, it looked pretty horrible. But every time I look at it now, and it's like I'm speaking for the MRO, which I cannot do. But every time I look, it's Oliver with the arm or the hand on the chin, the neck, and to me, it just looks like Berry was trying to find the shirt more rather than he was fishing for the shirt, because I think his view was a little obstructed as to what he was really kind of looking at. So I think you'll get off. And like BT said, you want these players in the games, and the AFL wants a spectacle. So, for such a 50-50 call, I think it's an easier one to make, especially compared to Cripps, who had a 2-game ban overturned for what was quite a damaging play. If we're comparing it, if we're making precedents or taking it from a precedent set earlier in the season, he gets off. I think it's pretty clear for me.
So
and
that's a good point.
To be fair, Clayton Oliver's a bit of a shit bloke when it comes to these things on the field. He's been known to flop a fair few times. So hopefully Berry gets off.
How instrumental is he? Obviously, what you mentioned he did last week, you can imagine he'd need to do much of the same this week to have, I suppose, for Brisbane to make a big impact. Is there someone in particular you think he should go to, BT, to perhaps impact the game? Or
if they're going to play him how they did in that second half, which you would assume they would, you would think he will go to probably a Cam Guthrie, who can get off the chain and can rack up the disposals. I think they will roll with it at the start, first quarter or so, and then if a player gets off the chain, he'll go to him. I think that's how they'll roll with it.
Mhm.
But I think it would be a Cam Guthrie if I was to choose a player.
Does it? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think it's an ace up the sleeve for Brisbane. It's not something that they'll roll into the first bounce with. They don't have to. I think that the midfield of Geelong is probably not quite as good as Melbourne's. They lack the star power. I think they're a better unit, but I think you attack that as a team. You don't attack that individual to individual. So I think Brisbane's team midfield can at least break even with Geelong, and there's no need to nullify a star player because it's such a unit.
And let's quickly touch on the battle of the forwards. Smoke and Joe should be back for this game. Obviously missed last week. You've got the two key for Brisbane, Smoke and Joe, and Charlie Cameron against obviously the dynamite duo of Hawkins and Cameron on two Camerons actually. Obviously you need Smoke and Joe back in the side to create an impact. Hipwood, is it Hipwood? He's done well, obviously, in the absence of Danaher, but you probably prefer Smoke and Joe in these particular games.
Danaher's such an enigma. He can be everything, but he can be nothing at the same time. And having seen what they've done without him, I mean, they know they can take it up to the best teams without him. They just need him to show up because if he doesn't show up, he is the centerpiece of that forward line, really. And if he doesn't show up, he just creates a void. So a lot hinges on Danaher for me. I mean, he kicked 3 in the elimination final, including the sealer, the one that got him over the line. But yeah, he really needs to show up because to me, that forward line, obviously there are lots of pieces in that forward line, but it revolves around him. So if he's not there, it falls apart.
BT, you're a big fan of Smoke and Joe.
Hipwood has been very solid, but I'm exactly with Taylor here. Smoke and Joe can easily come out and kick 2 or 3 goals very quickly, and he can change a game like that. Charlie Cameron is hell of a lot better when Smoke and Joe's not there. I don't know the exact stat, but he averages nearly 2 more goals a game when Smoke and Joe's not there. So he's the interesting one if he can get off the chain, because I hope so, because I think it was around this time last year, it was the Tom Stewart, Charlie Cameron matchup, and Charlie Cameron was all over him. So I don't know if Geelong will roll with that again. They may roll with like a Collar Jasny on him and go a little bit taller, but Charlie Cameron's the one, I think, if he gets off the chain and can kick a 4 or even maybe a 5, that's the way I think Brisbane may get a win.
So we're talking a lot about Brisbane here, and I feel like it's because we're trying to find a reason to tip them to win. But I feel like the three of us might be leaning towards Geelong to win. BT, are you picking Geelong?
Yeah, we've spoken about Brisbane a lot, but I think Geelong's got this in the bag, like pretty comfortably. Mm-hmm. I think Brisbane played their grand final last week, and I can't see them beating this fully fit Geelong team who's had a rest, and they've got old players who need these rest games. It may be close first quarter, but Geelong will run away with it in the end, in my opinion.
Taza?
Yeah, exactly the same. BT nailed it. I mean, these old players there's old legs in that squad, and they've had all the time to prepare, all the time to rest for the next 2 weeks. And yeah, look, they'll coast. It'll be 5 goals minimum, I reckon.
Yeah, I think it's conclusive 3 from 3. I thought it didn't matter who was going to make it through out of Brisbane and Melbourne. I don't think either of them are going to beat Geelong. So I think I'm tipping Geelong here, probably quite comfortably in the end. Yep, could be close at the start, like you think, but eventually it'll blow out and they'll beat them quite comfortably. So it's a 3 from 3, and I think Josh would agree as well. Although you know what he's like, he likes to be different, so he'd probably just go Brisbane for the hell of it. So. All right. Well, we want to know the thoughts on the Geelong and Brisbane fans in the comments. One last thing, actually, as well, before we head off, we're currently around 54 subscribers away from our goal of 500 subscribers. We're a couple of weeks out from the grand final, which was the goal to reach 500 before the grand final. So if you're not subscribed already, please do help us get to that goal. And the promise is there that when we do, we'll bring a live stream. So if we get it before the grand final, we'll be sure to try and live stream the grand final. So subscribe if you're new and if you're not already. And we'll see you later on in the week for the next video.